Hello. Good
Hi,
evening. Hi,
good
how are
evening.
you?
I'm good.
How was your day?
It's good. Today was the first day it was a bearable temperature. It was in the 30s.
Uh,
Well, Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius.
yeah, about the same here. It was the first kind of nice-ish day.
Yeah,
I mean, I know here,
relatively.
I know it won't last here. Like, we'll definitely get a ton more freezing temperatures, but I will
Yeah,
take it. It was nice today.
yeah.
So,
It's supposed to be back in the 20s by this weekend. So,
brr.
yeah. Uh, my car's in the shop.
Oh no.
I got no wheels.
Why?
Well, remember how last week I said I had an appointment to bring it in for routine maintenance?
Oh no.
Well, it didn't even get there,
Oh
because
no.
started it up and it started going crazy, like, all the dash lights came on.
Oh dear.
I had a headlight out for, like, a week. So, part of the appointment was to replace the headlight and give it an oil change, right?
Hmm.
So, when it started to freak out and the engine would rev on its own and just act really erratic, um, looked under the hood, and turns out a squirrel or something
Oh
had
great.
like tried to make a nest and chewed up a bunch of wires and my windshield wiper tank, and that's why my headlight was out in the first place because it chewed the wire right off.
Oh.
So I had to get it towed to my mechanic, and it's there now.
Oh, nightmare. I'm
Not
sorry.
drivable. That's okay. But luckily they gave us a quote, and yeah, I know. Well, yes, it yeah, this those little guys really did a number, but the quote wasn't too bad. So, you always get worried because those guys can do damage.
Yes.
Yeah, some cars get totaled with that. So I'm just glad it
Jeez.
wasn't. They're able to fix it. They just got to replace all the wires and that tank and stuff, and hopefully everything's good. They didn't do any real damage to the actual engine, thankfully.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Yeah. Well, I have nothing interesting to report. My day was normal and boring today. Um,
Yeah.
I filed my taxes today. Woohoo.
Yay.
Good job, me.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's dive into this New York Times article. I posted a poll on my channel, on my Tumblr, and my Twitter for like what people wanted us to talk about. And the winning topic was this one by one single vote.
Oh,
The top two were 100 votes and 101 votes.
what was second place? Do you remember?
Yes. Yes. Let me look. Second place was the coerced birth control. So
Ah,
that was highly, people were highly interested in that. So maybe that's what we'll do next week.
yeah. I'm interested in that too. I've
Yeah.
had that experience.
Yeesh.
Like, I don't know what they're talking about with coercion per se, but like I've
Mhm.
had the experience, and I'm sure a lot of women in the chat might have had this, but you go to the doctor for something,
Yeah.
and one of the first things they always suggest is like, well, we could put you on a low dose birth control.
Ugh,
If you have anything gynecologically irregular, if you have acne,
right.
anything like that, they'll be like, well, we'll put you on the pill. It'll be good. Yeah.
Wait.
It's
Wait.
just thrown at women for migraines. Oh, this pill is supposed to help migraines. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I know.
Crazy. I guess I've been kind of lucky. I really haven't had that experience, but my doctor like fully knows that I don't sleep with men or anything. So like I guess he's just never cared to bring it up
Yeah,
type
maybe
thing.
it's like a covert thing. Like, if they
Hmm.
know that you deal with guys, they're just trying to get you on the pill no matter what. So,
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's a different time now. I feel like now doctors try to get you off of it based on all the
Really?
no,
Off?
based on all the freaking birth rate crap going around, and
Oh.
push to traditional values and all that
Blech.
stuff. I know.
Barf.
Of course, I'm talking out of my ass anyway, because I haven't been to I haven't needed anything like birth control pills in many,
Mhm.
many years. So,
Well, let's dive into this one.
yeah.
It's nice to hear about women around the world, even if it's not like such a pleasant topic, but it's good to know what's going on. So, Myanmar's war has forced doctors and nurses into prostitution. So, nearly 4 years into a grinding civil conflict, the economy is in ruins, and people, even professionals with degrees, are desperate. Sad.
Oh, brutal.
Yes. Lexicon Devil, that's a great name. Hello.
Yeah, it is. I like that.
All right. Text look good on screen? Good
Mhm.
size? Okay. So this is by Suili Wee. I hope I said her name right. Suili Wee. She wrote it just a couple months ago. Hi, Fax Machine. Also one of the great names that I love. Makes me laugh
Yeah,
every time.
and pictures.
Yes.
Classic.
Okay. After, you're not late at all. We're literally starting right now.
Yep.
Good timing.
Just made it to class.
Exactly. The bell is just ringing. So after 7 years of medical school in Myanmar, May finally achieved her goal of becoming a doctor. But a month after she graduated and found a job, her dreams started unraveling. In February 2021, Myanmar's military seized power in a coup, and the country's economy, already hammered by the pandemic, started to buckle. Myanmar used to be Burma, is that right?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, it was. They changed the country's name in 1989.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I should have known that. But...
Okay, so prices soared, and May's paycheck, the equivalent of $415 a month,
For a
evaporated
doctor?
even faster.
Damn.
Wow. With her father suffering from kidney disease, she grew more and more desperate. Then she met date girls who were making twice as much as her. The money was enticing, even if it involved sex with men.
Nope.
That's the thing, it's like, without a livable wage in a traditional job, like, this woman is a doctor and quote unquote sex workers are making twice as much money as she is. Like, that's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean that wage is so low anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know how far $415 a month gets you in
right.
Myanmar, but it doesn't sound like a lot of money.
No, it doesn't. Oy, okay. It's difficult to accept that, despite all my years of study to become a doctor, I'm now doing this kind of work just to make ends meet, said May 26, who has been working as a prostitute for over a year in Mandalay, Myanmar's second largest city. She, like others who spoke for this article, asked not to be identified by her full name because her family does not know how she earns money, and prostitution is illegal in Myanmar. God. The coup and ensuing civil war have ravaged Myanmar's economy. Inflation soared to 26% this year as power shortages crippled factories, unseasonal rain flooded farms, and fighting in areas near China and Thailand decimated cross-border trade. The currency, the kyat, has lost 2/5 of its value against the dollar this year. Nearly half of Myanmar's people now live in poverty, according to the World Bank. And like, that's just the story, isn't it? Like, when you have no options, when you're just thrust into poverty, when there's no way out, it's like there's always somebody willing to take advantage of you in this way.
This kind of reminds me of those stories I hear about Victorian England
Mm-hmm.
and about how a lot of women didn't have any choice to do anything except for prostitution.
Yep.
Especially if they were like single and poor, if they had children out of wedlock, like the whole society just railroaded them into that one career choice.
Yep. Career. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Ugh. So this calamity has forced a new cadre of women in Myanmar into sex work: doctors, teachers, nurses, and other educated professionals. You know what also like pisses me off about this is like the sex work is work crowd who like they don't care about the struggles of women in Myanmar, right? Like they
No.
don't care about a 12-year-old girl in a Cambodian brothel.
Yeah,
Like it's sex
right.
work is not work. Like these women are not choosing, by their own free will. This is something they feel like they must do in order to survive, and that is not the same as freaking OnlyFans girls in their bedrooms. Like,
No, not at all. They wouldn't be able to like this is another level of hard that some cushy
right,
OnlyFans job isn't gonna reflect.
right. Like it's
Also,
so. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. One thing that struck me is that I think there's a lot more at play here because why is it only the women doctors that are having to do
Oh, of
is
course.
you know what I mean? Like what are the men doing to earn extra money?
Right,
And
right.
why are the women being railroaded or shut out of those options? Because
Mm-hmm.
clearly they must be.
Yeah.
If the men, the doctors who are men, can't seem to find doctor work and are getting by somehow, like
Mm-hmm.
why is it just the women nurses and doctors? I wonder why.
Wonder why. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder why. Ugh. So it says it's hard to track how many women are involved in the trade, but women plying the streets have become much more apparent. In interviews, half a dozen women, four white collar workers who have turned to prostitution, and two rights activists said that more educated women are now having sex with men to make a living.
And the men have enough income in this shattered
Right.
economy to spend
To,
on
yeah,
and support these like something just doesn't add up here for
I
me.
know. Ugh. Following the coup, women were at the forefront of protests. They marched on the streets and hung up their sarongs as a hex against soldiers. There was a flicker of hope over dismantling Myanmar's deep rooted patriarchy, but the rise in prostitution is another blow to the status of women who have been sexually abused by the military for decades. Ugh,
And there it
stomach.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. They say it without coming out and saying
Mm-hmm.
it, but the deep-rooted patriarchy and
Yep.
basically just like funnels these women into this. They have no other
Right.
choice.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
have a choice in the matter
No,
since
they
they took
don't.
over.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like it's a misogyny problem. It's a patriarchy problem.
Yep.
Yes, it's an economic issue too, but you know, only they're the ones suffering.
Right. So there's more than just the economy issue at play here.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no end in sight to this misery. The junta has lost a lot of ground to the rebels, but still controls Myanmar's cities, where prostitution has increased in brothels, karaoke bars, nightclubs, and hotels. Czar was a nurse at a private hospital in Mandalay, which was shut down by the military government because its doctors had joined the protest movement. Then a friend pitched her a way to make money. Just be a date girl, her friend said. Before her first day on the job, Czar, 25, said she watched some pornography to try to figure out what to do.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's fucking heartbreaking.
So this girl doesn't even know what sex is.
Oh my god.
Like
Oh
that's
my god.
oh my God.
She said her first client was a Chinese man who looked around 40 and spoke little Burmese and no English. At one point, he tried to have sex without a condom, but she insisted that he had to use one. It lasted about 20 minutes, but to me it felt like an eternity, she said. It was pure hell.
Yeah. Ugh.
On a recent Tuesday, her phone buzzed with a terse message on the Telegram app with the details of her next encounter: a name, contact number, venue, and time. She put on a pink dress and checked that her purse had condoms. That night she earned $80, the equivalent of what she made in a month previously. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so it's not just the men in the country. Clearly, we've got men traveling from other
Tourism.
countries.
Yep.
Right. We've got passport bros and sex tourism happening
Ugh,
here.
yuck. Yeah, like, oh, I could just go exploit this desperate woman,
who doesn't speak any of my language.
right? And has
And
to
I,
do, like, mm,
right. And
I'm
he
sure
tried to,
there's,
yeah,
go ahead. I'm
he
sure
tried
there's
to,
also some, like, sorry, we keep talking over each other.
yeah, it's okay.
I'm sure, like this man happened to be Chinese, but like, I'm sure there's
Yeah.
like a racial element going on too with like, well, there definitely is when it comes to like the passport bro types. Like,
Yeah.
there's like fetishization thrown in too.
Oh,
Ugh.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not just that Chinese man just happened to be mentioned, but I'm sure there's men from all over coming here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy tried to be, you know, cute and not wear a condom. Thankfully, sounds like she was able to make him wear one at least.
Mm, yeah.
Ugh.
So she says, but also, yeah, she earned $40 that night, the equivalent of what she made in a month previously.
$80.
Yeah, $80. That's how freaking desperate it is. That's horrible.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Not to be too
Mm.
nitpicky, but I wish the article would not label it as sex when she clearly didn't want it. I know. I
Yeah.
have this problem. Like, I have written to my local newspaper many times because they'll talk about sex crimes as, like, they'll say something like, had sex forcefully with,
Ugh.
or had sex with the underage girl. And I've written a million times saying this is not sex, this is
Mm.
rape or assault. But what
Yeah.
I've been told in Canada, the word rape is not in the criminal code at all. So
Mm.
journalistically, they cannot print that word because there is no such thing as a crime of rape.
What?
There's sexual battery or assault or whatever, but they also cannot say that it was battery or assault because you're innocent until proven guilty. So they can only say had sex with.
Okay, so you can't do the American thing of putting allegedly,
Hmm.
alleged sexual
Yeah.
assaults.
Yeah.
That's
I
how we
guess.
get around it
Yeah.
because we can't say that either. But if you say alleged, then you're not condemning anyone or making a
Yeah.
judgment. You're just alleging.
I will. Ugh, it's so frustrating though. Yeah, that they're just
Well, what do they say for murder? Like, can they not use kill or murder in articles either?
can because it is in the criminal code. Those words are in the criminal code.
But sexual assault is in the criminal code, but apparently they can't print that because innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, I'm
They
not
just
sure
call
how
it
they.
have sex with, like
Ugh.
the murder. Like, do they just be like, are they like, yeah, you know, was was I don't even know.
Forcefully ended the
Oh,
life of. I have
right.
no idea.
Or, like ended the life of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But Tapeworm is
exactly.
correct here. It's so evil and a way to minimize the crime and make it seem lesser. Exactly.
Yeah, they don't want to call a spade a spade.
Hmm.
Non-consensual end of life.
That's
Careful there. Listen, you can't say non-consensual because you never know. Maybe they wanted to be killed. Allegedly.
great. Okay. So she says, I feel a bit ashamed doing this job. It's not that I enjoy this work, it's just a necessity, which, like,
Yeah, but what has made it a necessity in this
right. It's like that.
society?
I think it's Gail Dine's quote. I think it's her who said, when a woman is hungry, put food in her mouth, not your dick.
Could be Dworkin.
I feel like it's Dine's, but
Yeah,
whatever. The quote stands. And it's like the same thing here
yeah,
with it being a necessity. Like, it's necessity because these women need food and shelter and clothing.
right.
But those things could be, provided in other ways, not for the trade of, oh,
Yeah,
maybe
it's
it was Rachel
clear.
Moran.
Oh, yeah. It's clear that the men, both within the country and without, are more interested in exploiting these women.
Yeah. Yes. The Gail Dines quote I was thinking of is, I'm paraphrasing it, but like she said something along the lines of, when people argue that like quote unquote sex work is just like any other job, then she
Mm.
throws it back at them like, would you rather flip burgers or have a dick up your ass.
Right.
And
Right.
the answer tells you that it's not like a job. It's not like any
No.
other job. That's Gail Stein's. But Rachel
Yeah.
Moran's the give her food, not your dick one.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Anyway,
mean, I'd rather fucking mine. I'd rather go into a coal mine than take
yeah,
unwanted dick. Like
it's
I'd pretty
not
much I'd shovel shit before I did that.
right. That's how you like. It's not a job like any other.
No.
And the people who do say that are coming from a place of like safety and privilege. Like these poor
Yep.
women on the streets of Mandalay are not making seven figures like the American OnlyFans girls are. Like, come the fuck on. It's not the same. I don't
No.
think that's appropriate either. I'm obviously against that too, but
Yeah.
it's not the same.
It's not even in the same universe.
No.
These women in Mandalay are in danger, like
Yeah.
physical danger.
Yes. So this desperation is forcing women to break the law by selling sex. Yeah, there's so many layers. There's the physical danger, the medical danger, the mental and emotional health danger, the legal danger.
Right. Yeah,
There's so many levels.
if she gets busted doing this, I doubt that in Mandalay the customers will be punished.
Of course not. Those detained by the police often have to pay bribes to secure their release, or I'm sure could do
Yeah.
sexual bribes,
Right.
adding another layer of jeopardy.
Right.
Ugh. Myanmar, with a population of about 55 million, has a long history of military regimes. But when civilian rule took hold in 2011, a middle class started to thrive. Now that group has shrunk by 50%, according to the United Nations Development Program. In Mandalay, Sue, who was a doctor, said she used to be part of that community. She tells of vacations to Singapore, India, and Nepal, and dining in malls with her friends. But after the coup, prices of goods like eggs and toothpaste tripled. She had to deplete her savings and skip meals.
Mm.
Her daily trials are well known in Myanmar, where the cost of a typical meal has surged 160%.
Wow.
Jesus, according to the International Food Policy Research Institute. In 2023, Sue, 28, said she decided to send naked pictures of herself to a madam who connected her with clients. Nothing like that. You expect this shit from pimps, but
Right.
like when it's a
women
madam, it's just so fucked up.
Yeah, and she's probably doing it because it's better than her doing it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
she gets to manage the prostitute. She doesn't have
Yeah.
to do it herself.
Yep. When she has an appointment with a client, her parents think that she is heading to a night shift at the hospital. Oh my God.
Mm.
I wanted to be a pediatrician and help children, but the coup and my family's financial situation left me with no other options, she said. It's far from the life I dreamed of. Women have borne the brunt of the economic crisis. They
Mhm.
already earn less compared to their male counterparts. A study from April to June 2024 showed female daily wage workers make an average of about $5, while men could earn as much as 40% more doing the same job.
Yep.
And the unemployment rate for women remains far higher than that for men. Garment factories were once a lifeline for women from Myanmar's villages and were projected to employ 1.6 million workers by 2026. Many of these are now shut, and their companies have pulled out of Myanmar after the coup. Maya, 25, a single mother, said she tried to find a job in a garment factory after her husband was shot and killed by soldiers during a protest in 2021. But no one was hiring. She said she sold everything of value and finally turned to prostitution to provide for her 3-year-old daughter.
Ugh.
People might judge me, but they don't understand what it's like to be hungry, to watch your child go hungry, and to have nothing, she said. Every day I pray for a way out.
God, I just hope that if something happens to her, that kid's
I
like
know.
an orphan, It's a highly dangerous job, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so sad.
I know, Ice Goddess. I wasn't expecting this to be a uplifting article.
Well, me neither. But
No. but it
But
has
you
to
gotta
be
know
talked
what's
about.
going on. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
not everything is good, and it's important to know what our sisters around the world to deal with.
Yeah. I'd be interested to read the comments.
Yes, I'm just opening the actual New York Times website to do so because this is the archive site. All right, let's see what.
Yeah, exactly. The top comment. That's what I said.
Where are the Johns getting the money from if everyone in this country is poor? Yeah,
Yeah, although,
that's
the article did insinuate that there's also tourism here too. So, yeah,
yeah.
but that's true. I'm sure the locals are also buying it.
Yes. Unfortunately, Myanmar has an unfortunate geography located between China, India, Bangladesh, and various ethnic groups. Stability as a nation state has been a huge problem.
Hmm. Yep.
The situation is described as horrible also because it looks like there's no end in sight and no real help from the outside international forces which could improve the economical situation.
Oh, I read ahead. Yeah, okay.
Uh,
Prostitution for women, men, or transgender is not a choice, but a byproduct of an unhealthy society. I doubt that men or transgender is making up the bulk of the prostitution.
right, of course.
Like, we don't need to do it. It happens to everybody in this case.
Hmm. Who are the customers? How are they so rich to pay $80 a
Uh-huh.
date?
Right.
Aside from describing the encounter with one Chinese client, this article only looks at one side of the two encounters that only happened with two parties. Yeah.
Yeah. I would also be interested to see what the demographics of these
Hmm.
customers are.
Me too, Ice Goddess.
Yeah, I know. Same.
This is good. A person who is forced to give up their dignity for a living is a victim of a corrupt system.
Yeah. But everybody seems to be content with letting women just take all the shit.
Hmm. I can't even imagine having to make that choice.
They're probably talking about America because I see Texas under their name.
Yeah. Um, these poor women and men, don't be thinking that men aren't selling themselves too.
Oh, go fuck
I
yourself.
mean, what, like 1 in 10?
Yeah,
Like, come
right,
on.
right. You got a small percentage of like male prostitutes that men buy. Let's be real.
Yep.
And yeah, it's mostly women.
Oh, yeah. This person said she's young and has years of her life left. She needs to be that person who will one day look in the mirror and say, this isn't good enough and find her way out. Like, did
How?
you read the article,
Right,
Melissa?
right.
And as this person says, as if she's choosing to stay there, they have almost no way out. Like,
Yeah. Where are they gonna go?
right. And get the money to go.
Right.
Uh, it saddens me, Lexicon Devil says, how so many commenters seemingly can't or think other people can't care about this issue if they think it only affects women and not men.
Yeah. Yeah, hence everybody's knee jerk, like, oh, everybody experiences it. It happens to everybody.
Uh-huh. Why aren't they leaving the country? With what money and
Right.
power to do so?
Right. And like the other commenter mentioned, they're very geographically unfortunate. So where are they going to go?
I mean, this is true. We should take these people in, especially America has a need for doctors and nurses.
I mean,
But
that would be
like,
great, but now we have Trump in office. He ain't going to
yeah.
take people in.
But like, yeah, when you're this desperately poor, when like they said, like the cost of meals is surged 160%, how are you possibly going to get the money to like save up to immigrate somewhere else? Like this is so
Yeah, it's very
utterly tone deaf.
right. How come they don't just leave? And like there's a guy named Tom that replied and he said, seriously, people have to be smuggled out of the country. I know from experience. I guess
Mm.
he's based in
Saigon, Vietnam, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Ice Goddess said, if prostitution was only for women who wanted it, there would be like no prostitutes.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
That's so awful.
Yeah.
I'm looking at charities for women in prostitution in Myanmar. If I can find a good one, maybe I'll put the link in the description box if anyone wants to contribute something. Well, good times.
Yeah. Great. It's a real party story, that one.
I know. I don't have anything else on the agenda, but we can vibe. Let me go look at that birth control one and see how long it is. It might be, if it's too long. Unless you are interested in something else.
No, it sounds good to me.
I have to look for it in my list of way too many things I have bookmarked.
It was second place for a reason. Let's check it out.
Okay, I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, Ice Goddess. That's very true. They're like, I love my job, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Like, why? Really? Maybe you do some thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And Fax Machine says, tell me you've never been trapped before. Like, a lot of those really tone deaf comments, I think they were from Americans. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, our country's going through some shit right now, but we still have freedom that people in other places don't have.
Oh, this one's a good length. It's not too long, not too short. It's pretty good.
Ooh.
So let me change it up.
I enjoy ranting about pharmaceuticals and birth control, so
yeah.
Hopefully this article will give me some fodder.
Yeah, this was the second place when in the poll I put up about what we're going to talk about. This was the second place one. So women are being coerced into birth control in their most vulnerable moments. Healthcare providers are pushing birth control, then denying women their agency when they ask for removal. So like the IUD or the arm implant or whatever the hell, I'm guessing.
That's so weird. Just, just based on the way the zeitgeist is shifting around that kind of thing now.
Yeah. This was from July of last year, so just 6 months ago.
It's not that long ago, so I'm very curious to get into this article and see what's going on.
Let's see.
Before we get into it, I wonder if we're dealing with certain populations that they're doing this to. If you catch my drift. Because a lot of this pro-birth rate, pro-birthing and trad thing has to do
for white people.
White, yes, exactly. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen in this article, but I'm curious to find out.
And yet they're still weird with women who choose to get sterilized.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. God forbid you want a self-injectomy or tubal before the age of 30.
Yeah.
Or even 35.
Grapers, yeah. Hello, Helga. Yeah. I have a friend who's 32, and she had a tubal ligation. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Tubal ligation. Maybe about 7 or 8 months ago now. But she already has one child, so they were like not so weird with her about it. But like I know for women who don't have children, they're really, really weird about it.
I mean, my mom ended up getting a tubal in like 1981 after my brother was born, but she had already had the two of us.
Yeah.
And they just did it. But I also, weirdly enough, I kind of feel like that stuff was even easier to get like in the 80s and 90s than it is even today.
Yeah.
For some women.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. My mom, after she had my sister, they easily like did it for her, but it's like they won't usually unless you already have a child or children, because it's always like, well, what if?
Yeah.
As if a woman doesn't know her own mind.
Right. We just never know what we want. We
Mhm.
got silly lady brains.
Yeah. Although I know with my friend, because she has one child, right? But she's not married or anything. And so I do know that the doctor said, well, what if you meet a man someday and he wants children? Like,
Out of luck, I guess.
yeah, he can find a different woman or he can be stepdad to the kid I already have. Like, Jesus.
Right. Ugh.
I know. Okay, let's get into this one.
Okay.
So when Christina Hughes, a 35-year-old black woman,
There we go. Did I fucking call it or what?
oh, the first
The
7
first
words.
goddamn sentence.
Okay. So when Christina went to the University of Alabama Birmingham Hospital to give birth, she wasn't considering birth control. Immediately after giving birth to her daughter, a doctor asked if she wanted to get an IUD inserted. After all, her cervix was already dilated. Hughes said no, but once her husband left for the neonatal ICU with their newborn, the doctor asked again, could he insert an IUD? In her vulnerability, Hughes assumed that it must be important to have the IUD inserted now, so she relented. Around 6 weeks postpartum, her milk dried up and she had to have the IUD removed after her uterus prolapsed.
Good God.
Great point, Helga. They don't ask too many
Oh.
questions to men who want their ball tubes snipped. No, they never do.
It's a quick outpatient procedure.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
This story is just one of many that Time magazine presents in its report on women being pressured into having long-acting reversible contraceptives, LARCs, inserted immediately after giving birth. Jesus. That seems like you need time for like things to like heal and settle down. Like
Right.
immediately after birth, I feel like that's just going to impact the way in which your
Yeah.
body like puts itself back together, you know?
Right. Because having been through it,
Yeah.
the uterus doesn't just snap back to its original. It takes weeks for it to go back down. Like,
Yeah.
frankly, after you have a baby, you still look pregnant for a while
Yes.
afterwards. Everything's
Days.
still, yeah, it's not like the baby comes out and, your uterus is back to being the little organ it was beforehand. It's still
Right.
large. So I can't imagine sticking an IUD up there. Like,
Uh-huh.
what is it just like float around in the big ass
Right.
uterus that
And
had a
like your
baby?
cervix needs to like
It's all
re-close. Like,
opened. It's
also,
tender. Like,
the
oh,
like pregnancy and post-pregnancy hormones, like the IUD interacting with that, like this seems like a bad idea. I mean, I am not a doctor, but like,
I mean, there's
wow.
some non-hormonal IUDs, but the
Huh.
mechanics of it still, like, I wouldn't want to put anything in a uterus that just gave birth. It sounds
Mhm.
like a bad idea. Why would you do that?
Well, look at this. The women featured are largely minorities or low income, many of them residing in the South.
Yeah, big fucking surprise there.
Mm. Another patient, Mianica Friesen, described having a nurse pester her about sterilization. Sterilization? As she screamed in pain from contraction during labor with her third baby. Friesen said no. Her labor ended up in emergency C-section, and as she was lying on the operating table with her abdomen still open, mere moments after her child was delivered, the doctor asked if he could insert an IUD. Oh my God.
My,
Friesen, reeling from her traumatic birth and head swimming with pain medication, agreed. This is not the time for these conversations. This is really fucked up and manipulative.
yeah, it is. Clearly an agenda is happening here.
Ugh. That I feel I got the heebie-jeebies. This is creeping me out.
Yeah, this is some body horror shit.
Yes. Also, these are men asking.
Yeah.
Like, isn't this something you should discuss prior to
Yeah,
going into the operating room?
it would absolutely be something you discuss
Or
prior.
put it in your birth plan? Like this, like,
Yeah, but you don't just spring anything on a patient when they're drugged up and in pain.
yeah. Or like going through the potential like trauma of giving birth. Like,
Right.
ugh.
I've also had an IUD before.
I've heard that they're like super painful.
Yeah, that was probably the most exquisitely gynecologically painful thing that I've ever experienced.
Yeah, I've
Because
heard
they
that
don't,
from
yeah, they don't give you any pain meds. They just tell you to take a Tylenol beforehand.
fucked up.
Yeah, it really is. Oh, hang on. I
Oh,
gotta let my cat out. One
okay.
second.
No
Hold on.
worries. Go, go, go. Ice Goddess says my mom got the husband stitch, also fucked up and terrifying. Not shocked to be honest, but it fills me with rage. Seriously. Seriously, seriously awful. Awful, awful, awful. I don't want to read on without Existential Gamer, so we'll let her come back. But like,
Okay, I'm back.
oh, that was so fast.
Yeah, she's right there. And then I opened the door, of course, and then she doesn't want to go out, and I had to like push her little fluffy butt out. I'm like, get out, get.
Yeah, that is a cat
It's a
for you.
yes, it's a cat thing.
This door should be open and closed at the same time. Schrodinger's
Yes,
door.
right.
Oh, we were just talking about the husband stitch, which is
Oh,
another super fucked up thing.
yeah,
And then
that's one
why
of
is
those
it?
things. Yeah, why isn't it considered FGM? That's one of those things that's so horrifying when you first hear about it. You think it's an urban legend or something, but it's not. It's disgustingly real. It's like, what? Doctors do that?
Oh, I know it's so awful.
And it causes like real problems
Hell
for the
yeah.
women. Like you're stitching up flesh that should not be stitched.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like Frankenstein stuff.
Yes.
Like, ugh.
So, ostensibly, medical patients in the United States are due what is called informed consent, the right to
Mhm.
receive information and ask questions about medical procedures before they make a decision. Informed consent looks different during emergency situations such as a heart attack or car accident, when patients are not able to properly receive information about the treatments they're due to receive. Both Christina Hughes and Myanmar Friesen were going through the dramatic hormonal shifts that take place immediately following birth as progesterone and estrogen plummet and prolactin rises to give way to early breastfeeding. They were both recovering from labor. Is it even possible for a woman in this state to properly give her consent to birth control?
Okay, well, here's the other thing too, is that in the situation of a car accident or heart attack, these people, it's a life or death situation. They are not able to say anything because they might be unconscious and they could die if they don't get surgery or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to die if they don't get an IUD inserted into
Yeah.
the open uterus during a C-section. Like it's ridiculous to even make that comparison.
Yeah,
Like
extremely.
stitch her up and discuss it with her postpartum at one of the appointments if you must. But like it's it's outrageous that they would even conflate the two things at
Yeah.
all. This is not she is not going to die if you don't make the decision for her to do this.
Yeah. So, no consent, no procedure. Receiving a postpartum IUD is a common occurrence for many women giving birth in a hospital, as doctors argue that insertion is easier and less painful at this time when women are highly motivated to be on birth control.
Easier for who? You?
Right, right. And highly motivated because they just went through like birth, which is like scary and painful. So, like, of course, they'll be like, oh, I'm never doing that again. So they're more likely probably to say yes, right? Like, ah,
Yeah, yeah.
right, right. Like I just said, ask nearly any woman moments after she has birthed the baby if she's ready for another one, and you likely won't receive a positive answer.
Right.
It's
This
not the right time to have that conversation. My God.
no, it's not. Like it can wait. It's fine. You
So,
know?
doc,
Ugh.
yeah.
There's like a one I forget how many months the first appointment is. It's like a 1 month postpartum, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about it then.
Right.
Where the hell's the fire? Like what?
Oh. So, doctors argue there are benefits to receiving an IUD immediately after birth, and the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists recommends this as best practice due to its convenience. Then, to
Mm-mm.
me, that doesn't scream best practice.
No.
Best
And it's
practice should
only
be for the interest of the patient, not,
right.
or like the best or what's going to result in the best outcome for the patient. But the doctor's own convenience is not, in my opinion, best
Right.
practice
I was just gonna
necessarily.
say, like, you're talking about your own convenience there, dude. And then the rest of the sentence goes, especially for women at the greatest risk of not attending the postpartum follow-up visit. But if you had an IUD placed in a deflating uterus after giving birth, you not showing up for your postpartum visit is also a concern. You have a foreign body,
Right.
but that's the best case scenario for these. They just want to set it and forget it. They just want to be like, she's fine. She never showed up for her monthly postpartum, but we got the IUD in her, so
Yep.
the undesirables won't be breeding.
Yep. Well, yeah, as Radybugs asks, are they recommending
Right.
this to rich white women or just women of color and poor women? And the article said above that it's primarily women of color and poor women
In the South.
in the
Which,
South,
right.
where, yeah, women of color are probably more likely to be economically disadvantaged.
Let's be so for real. They are thinking to themselves, these SLUTS, these poor women,
These welfare queens.
well, exactly. They're going to get knocked up like literally right away. So we have to do something. That's all they're thinking of. I
It's
guarantee it.
racist, it's misogynist, it's classist,
Yeah,
it's,
exactly. Oh,
yeah.
these women have way too many babies anyway. Let's just take it upon ourselves to just violate their bodies with IUDs. Well, right, exactly. Fax machine. That's what I was thinking when I went into the article, because I obviously everybody's aware of that line, right? The birth rates, banning abortions. But as I suspected, it's because they want more white babies. They want more white upper class or middle class families
Mm-hmm.
returning to traditional Christian values. So different rules for different groups of people for sure.
Uh, yeah, low birth rates of white babies.
Right. I mean, it can't be any clearer with the juxtaposition of those two things, of like the whole trad movement and then this article, the fact that these two can, because those southern hospitals that those women live near, that a bunch of those people are also freaking out about the low birth rate and the traditional values and all that stuff too, right? But the question is, who are they talking about?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like Glitter
Glitter.
Snipe said, hello and welcome. They just want the right people to have children.
Yeah.
They want more white babies, but look at how they treat their own women.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what, women are just going to get the short end of the stick.
Yeah. Hi, Leslie. Remember? Long time no see. Nice to see you.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep.
Um, it's giving Gilead.
Oh, for real.
Okay, so these points are confounded by a 2022 study following a cohort of over 300,000 women during the 5 years after they received an IUD that found the expulsion rate, where the IUD falls out of the uterus, was the highest among women who received their IUDs right after birth.
No shit. The uterus is not back to
Right.
its original shape yet. It's stretched out.
Yeah.
Like, it has to have time to come back to its normal size.
Yep.
You there's the possibility of expulsion or even like migration in a uterus that hasn't been
Yeah. It
stretched
happened
with.
to a friend of mine actually just maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Her
Yeah,
IUD fell out and she's never been pregnant or anything.
right. Yeah, it happens. But
Crazy.
just the physics, the mechanics alone would probably clue a doctor in. You would think that this would increase expulsion rate. Like, come on. You've got open cervices and uteruses that are enlarged. Like, it's not nestling comfortably up there. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that too, Ice Goddess. Menstrual cups can suck them out. Anything with suction like that. Hmm.
Ugh, ugh.
You gotta be careful. In
Man.
fact, if maybe my memory's failing me, because I got my IUD many, many years ago, but I'm almost certain that the nurse who inserted it told me not to use menstrual cups when I had it. And I told her that I did not use them anyway, so it was okay.
Uh,
Pretty sure she said that though. She's like, we recommend you don't use them when you have an IUD.
yeah. Yee. Freaky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so women who received their IUD at their 6-week follow up or later had a higher rate of success. Other studies confirm that it's actually better to wait to insert an IUD until after the early postpartum period. Wow, who would have
Yes.
thought?
Basic logic. Wow.
Another complicating factor is that for the women who do have an IUD postpartum, many run into difficulty if they decide they want to get it removed. One small study of women on Medicaid who received an IUD immediately after birth found that 30% of them encountered pushback from their medical provider when they decided they'd like to get the IUD removed.
Yeah. Notice on Medicaid.
On
So
Medicaid.
we've got the
Oh
welfare
my
queen stereotype
God!
just running rampant. They don't want these welfare queens to be popping out any more babies. It's bog standard just bigotry. That's all it is. They want to keep them, because it costs more if they have kids, right? For Medicaid. And they have all these terrible ideas and prejudices about people on Medicaid.
Man, okay. Ah! Side effects of an IUD can range from seemingly innocuous headaches or acne to intense pain or increased clinical depression. Worse, IUDs can perforate or puncture the uterus.
Mm-hmm.
Recent studies have found that this is much more common than previously thought, with the risk being doubled for women who receive their IUD after giving birth. Risk of uterine perforation is even higher for women who are postpartum and breastfeeding, nearly 3.5 times higher than women who received an IUD many weeks after birth.
Yeah, and I'm not a doctor, so maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure after birth, the tissue in the uterus is very, it's not firm. It's it, I can definitely see a little pointy device like worming its way where it shouldn't be, especially as the uterus is contracting to go back to its original size, because that's how it does it. It'll contract,
Yeah.
down and down and down until it comes back to where it was. So, you've got some swollen, spongy tissue, delicate in there. Like you've got this foreign object in there. I don't even understand how a doctor can think it's a good idea at all.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's giving me the sympathy pains.
Yeah.
Starting to feel uncomfortable.
So, historical roots of reproductive coercion. Women have been coerced into birth control long before IUDs came onto the scene 2 decades ago. The first birth control pill, Enovid, was infamously tested on impoverished Puerto Rican women in the 1950s who did not receive information about the risks they'd face by participating in the trial. 3 women tragically died during testing, and their deaths were not investigated.
Yep.
Okay. Before Enovid was tested in Puerto Rico, Margaret Sanger was hard at work in the United States campaigning for legalized contraception and abortion. While many hold Sanger as a proponent of feminist ideals, especially those of Planned Parenthood, which she founded, her reasoning for supporting birth control was steeped in racist and eugenic ideology.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Can we, can
Ladybugs.
we,
Go ahead.
what was it? Sorry. Can we keep the abortion and contraception and just ignore the racism and eugenic?
Yeah,
Like, you
right.
don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Women having
The
control over
baby.
their, oh yeah, no pun intended. But women having control over their reproductive systems is a good thing, regardless of the morals of the person who campaigned for it. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to point out Ladybugs said Canada does this as well, just not just the US. We've been sterilizing Indigenous women for years, and that is absolutely true.
Yeah, and I'm almost positive that I heard somewhere, and I don't have the source, but that a lot of early gynecological
Yes.
surgeries and stuff were on Black women,
Yep. I think
uh,
black slave women.
slave women, right? Like that's how they tested and, you know, figured out a lot of this stuff by using them as fucking lab rats.
Gross.
Yeah.
Okay, eugenics, which seeks to improve humanity through selectively breeding populations and limiting undesirable people, was at the root of Sanger's campaign for birth control for American women. In her publication, The Birth Control Review, she wrote, "As an advocate of birth control, I wish to take advantage of the present opportunity to point out the unbalance between the birth rate of the unfit and the fit. Admittedly, the greatest present menace to civilization." I hate this font on this website.
Yeah, it's kind of
Sorry.
weird.
"Admittedly, the greatest present menace to civilization can never be rectified by the inauguration of a cradle competition between these two classes. The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the overfertility of the mentally and physically defective."
Yeah. Ew. There's so much to unpack.
Wow.
You know, it's funny because all studies show that the richer people get and the more educated people get,
Uh-huh.
the fewer children they have. It's
Yeah.
like a class thing. Because having children is extremely economically disadvantageous, and it actually decreases your quality of life by a significant amount. And
Mhm.
the more you have, you know, either in education or in wealth, the more you are probably aware of that. You know, you don't really see a lot of wealthy or, you know, middle upper class people having
Mhm.
like 12 children. Like you just, I mean, unless they're like fundamentalists or something,
Yeah.
unless it's a religious thing, you don't really see that because each child gives you a giant hit to like your quality of life. When I say this as someone who has a kid, right? Like,
Mhm.
because it's true. So, um, and then a lot on the opposite side, like a lot of the poor who don't get the education, especially sex education, right? Again, religion also plays a part in this too,
Yep.
because religion loves not educating anyone. Uh, they're more likely, first of all, they don't have a lot to lose. So it's not like they have to keep an eye on their empires or whatever. Uh, and then, you know, it's, I don't know. There seems to be like, there seems to me that there would be more societal ways we could encourage everybody, rich or poor, to just
Right.
have the number of children they would feel comfortable with, or none at all.
Huh.
And, you know, but in capitalism, like it's true. Every child you have is going to be like that much more of a drain on your whole life. And then just the way we raise kids in this country too is it makes it that way too.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Oh,
But like
definitely.
it doesn't really have much to do. I mean, it has a lot to do with contraception and education, but a lot of it too is like if you want society to you know, not have too many or too few children, you've got to make it enticing, you know,
Right. Yeah,
societally
exactly.
to have a family or not have a family. Like make
Mhm.
it so that you're not punished for not having kids or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah. So many of the defective populations that Sanger sought to systematically limit through birth control and abortions were the physically and mentally handicapped, but she also desired a reduction in poor and largely black urban populations. To Sanger, people not desirable were feeble-minded, and their high rates of fertility a biological menace on society.
Well, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, a biological menace.
Mm.
Please.
So many of these populations are still being targeted by birth control advocates today. In St. Louis, taxpayer funded contraceptive choice specifically recruited women at the highest risk for unintended pregnancy, meaning women who were minorities, poor, or young. Rather than being given guidance on the best family planning method for their individual situation, these women were universally counseled by their doctors to receive an IUD using a standardized script. As a result of the success of contraceptive choice, other programs have cropped up aiming to expand usage of LARCs as a way of reducing poverty.
And that's another thing. I'm not opposed, because when the more disenfranchised a woman is and the less educated she is about sex and birth control, the more at risk she is for the kind of coercive control that would make it so that a man would impregnate her right after she gives birth, which is not good for her at all. So, but rather than like they just said, rather than educate and guide on this or provide resources for these women to escape the situation where we've all heard the horror stories, right? Nurses will tell horror stories of like the baby's fathers literally in the delivery rooms after she's given birth, like wanting
Yes.
to have sex with her in her hospital bed.
Yeah, like
before,
minutes or hours after she delivered
right,
the baby.
exactly. And
Horrifying.
she may not have the the wherewithal or the resources to escape that situation. So, but forcing them to get IUDs in what sounds like a very unsafe medical procedure at that time, like that, why is that the solution? Why are no resources being handed to these women, or at least educated? They're not being educated about them or anything. It's just like, no, we know what's best for you. We're going to put this dangerous device in your tender recovering uterus and pray that your uterus won't prolapse or the thing won't migrate.
Yes. Leslie Remember says, I heard there was this woman in the USA who goes around to homeless women and offers them money to get sterilized. Has anyone heard about this? Yes, I have. It's called Project Prevention. Here's the Wikipedia for it. Yeah, paying drug addicted women cash to be sterilized or have long-term birth control like IUDs.
Yeah, but even whether that sounds kosher to you or not, they're still offering her a choice.
Yeah. So the organization offers US $300 to each participant.
No, that doesn't sound like enough though. Like $300. Come on, up that a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not even going to be enough for like a week in a motel room for her. So.
Oh boy. Okay, now I feel like we have to look at this quickly. This Wikipedia page.
Okay.
Project Prevention under criticism and response. The organization has used slogans such as "Don't let pregnancy get in the way of your crack habit,"
What?
and she has her daddy's eyes and her mommy's heroin addiction. Oh God. In interviews, Harris, the founder, said, "We don't allow dogs to breed. We spay them. We neuter them. We try to keep them from having unwanted puppies. And yet these women are literally having litters of children."
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they don't seem to have the best intentions. But at least they're not surgically forcing a device into a prescription drug-addled woman in a ton of pain and doing it against her will or coercing her into doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why aren't they going after the homeless dudes and offering vasectomies? Yeah, just dogs breeding litters. Disgusting.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely worse than I thought too. I was thinking like maybe just a community outreach where they would like kind of like donating plasma, right? Like they offer some money, like, hey, you want to donate some plasma? We'll give you some money.
Yeah.
It could benefit you. You get a little something out of it. Maybe she doesn't want to be pregnant. She's homeless.
Yeah.
Okay, but reading this, it casts a whole different light on the whole thing.
Yeah.
I can see if I was homeless and I had literally nothing and I had the threat of rape possibly by homeless men, I might consider it myself like, yeah, probably a good idea to at least get like an implant or something. So at least I don't have a kid. if the worst were to happen. That was my mindset when I first heard of it. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, but this is like crazy.
Yeah, really bad.
Yeah.
Ugh. Comparing women to dogs and like, yeah,
Yeah.
the slur for women is bitch,
Right.
which
Literally.
means a breeding
Female.
female dog.
Right.
Uh, oh God. Okay,
Oh
let's.
yeah, that's true. Ladybugs doesn't have to be homeless. Could be any guy.
Yep.
It'd just be an opportunistic crime. Yeah, but that's just what I was thinking. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Billy Bob.
Yeah. I actually, yeah. I, as I've said before, I work in addictions and mental health, and my clientele are people experiencing homelessness and
Mm.
98% drug addiction.
Yeah.
Um, and I do know a guy who has 19 children with like
Yeah.
something like 12 or 13 different women.
Yeah.
And it's like, where is the freaking contraceptive payment for this guy? Like,
Yeah, right. Where's the mobile vasectomy units
right.
going around and being like, hey, you, I'll give you
Right.
300 bucks. You never have to worry about you know, you don't have to worry about it again. Easy. But no, they don't do that.
They don't. They don't. And why fucking not? It's like the easiest procedure ever, and it is reversible.
Well, sometimes I've
Yeah.
heard depending on the type you get.
Yeah. But we
Sometimes
can't
they'll
do anything to,
cauterize it. Can't like
yeah.
reattach it, but
Can't do anything to poor men's peepees.
there's so much misinformation about vasectomies out there. I was reading a Reddit thread about it. Somebody asked why men were so scared of getting it, and a bunch of like the comment thread was huge. And a lot of people were chiming in about the men that they know in their lives and the things that they were saying. Like some guys literally think that they snip the whole balls off.
Stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, oh, well, it'll make me less of a man. Oh, I don't want to lose my like they think it's like a dog. Like they think they remove the balls like you do on a domesticated animal. Like, no, you're not getting castrated. It's a vasectomy, idiot.
Ugh.
Well, yeah, Vegas spades. They're not worried about impregnating homeless women or any women because men don't really face consequences for having 19 children with 12 or 13 different women.
All right.
They can just run away. They can just disappear, take jobs under the table. They don't have to do shit.
Yep. Good times. All right.
Yeah.
So it's no coincidence that certain populations are being targeted to receive what is this long acting? What does it stand for?
Yeah.
It was up here somewhere.
Right in the
Oh,
very first paragraph.
long acting reversible contraceptives.
Okay, not the first paragraph. Close to it.
So yeah, it's no coincidence that certain populations are being targeted to receive long-acting reversible contraceptives. The Time report found that doctors are disproportionately likely to push these contraceptives when treating Black, Latina, young, and low-income women, or to refuse to remove them when requested. Oh my God.
And that just makes the agenda of the whole thing clear, doesn't it?
Extremely. Other research similarly suggests doctors show bias on the basis of race or class when choosing to engage patients to get LARCs, despite patients' expressed desire not to do so.
Ugh.
Ugh. Many of these women also struggle to find a doctor who will remove the LARC when asked. Studies have found that physicians often resist removing an IUD early, particularly for those in high-risk groups. It's not a big jump from Sanger's belief that women should not even have the right to bear a child without a permit to providers refusing to remove IUDs in their patients, even when women experience pain or other complications.
Unbelievable. But I guess we shouldn't be surprised when women are literally dying of ectopic pregnancies and natural miscarriages that don't eject all the tissue. So it ends up like necrotizing in their
Yep.
bodies.
Hmm.
Vegas spades. I've heard that some men actually put fake prosthetic balls
Yeah,
into their dog's ball sack. Yes, because they feel so much sympathy for their dog's ball loss that they have to put fake balls in there. So that
that's
it
men are
looks,
insane.
I know.
That is like somebody needs to study this.
I don't understand the psychology. I don't want to understand it. It's so dumb.
Ugh. So, what if instead of pestering a laboring mother about birth control, we granted her the ability to give birth free from distractions? Rather than coercing her into getting an IUD while her cervix was dilated, we could allow her body to heal and then discuss future family planning.
No.
Better
Too
yet,
reasonable. No.
Better yet, what if we taught every woman how to learn the cycles of her fertility and even how to pursue or avoid pregnancy without the life altering side effects of LARCs or other pills?
Yeah.
Giving women knowledge about their bodies and the agency necessary to make decisions with that knowledge is the antidote to a culture that diminishes female pain and increases medical interventions for natural processes like birth. Medical providers ought to see birth as a time of connection between mother and baby, not as an opportunity to push contraceptives on a woman with a dubious capacity to consent. Women like Hughes and Friesen deserve an entrance into motherhood free from coercion of any kind, especially from the doctors they're meant to trust.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
It is. Are there comments on this article?
Comment. No, zero comments.
Okay.
Or maybe there's one if you log in.
That's all right. I don't have
Yeah.
to log in. I was just curious to see if we had like a bunch
Yeah.
of Jesus freaks commenting or whatever.
Uh,
I always tend to congregate under articles of
yeah.
birth control or like women giving birth or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's so many more conversations to be had about this issue rather than like forcing or coercing women to do something arguably dangerous. It's not the best time to put that in, you know? I don't care what the obstetrics community is saying, like, oh, it's the safest time. Is it the safest time though? That's not the impression I got. And being a woman and having given birth
Yeah.
doesn't sound like a good idea to me, just based on what I know and like the logistics of it, like
Hmm.
physically. Sounds like a bad time to put a foreign object in your uterus.
Yes. It seems like very super basic common sense that this is probably not the time,
One would think.
one would think. Fucking
Yeah.
world, man.
I mean, because there's, like I said before, there's definitely a conversation to be had about like how some populations of women are more, uh, susceptible to like living in abusive environments or like being
Mhm.
trapped, you know, these guys that will literally knock her up right after she gives birth, and he doesn't give a shit about her health, and there's no way for her to do anything about it really. But this is not the way.
Yeah, no, not this. Not this. And it's
No.
like, what is it? Like, is there a birth rate crisis or are we trying to prevent people from having babies? Like, what? It's all about the right people having
Right.
babies.
Right. I mean, clearly, yes. Because these two ideas seem to be opposing each other. But if you're
Hmm.
operating under that, that the right people having the right babies, then it all makes sense, right?
Yeah, of course. So messed up.
Yeah, salad Caesar, the oligarchs don't. People, like I said this on a previous stream, but people like Elon Musk are like freaky outliers.
Yeah.
Most wealthy people uh do not have like a million kids. They just don't.
Right.
Especially in capitalism, it's just not, it's not prudent to do that. It's not like we're living in, the farming days of yore where we needed all these people to help on the farm, and
Mhm.
it's not like that anymore. So um yeah, so yeah, he's just a freak. He's got like a breeding fetish or something. That guy's
Ugh.
yeah, I would put money on it for sure. uh
He is
yeah,
such a freak.
yeah.
Ugh.
If I believed in the lizard people theory, I would think he was one. He's
For
like the
real.
prime candidate. Him and Tom Cruise for Scientology.
Ugh. Um, yeah. Uh, there was something about Elon Musk and one of his kids recently on Twitter. Like, apparently, one of his baby mamas was like resorting to tweeting him about their child's medical issues because he wasn't
Ugh.
talking to her or replying to her or whatever. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, that tracks.
Ugh, man, he's
He
the worst.
pretend he pretended to be his own son on Twitter. Really?
Yeah, actually, oh, I did hear about that. He created like a whole Twitter account for his child, who was like a toddler at the time, but he tweeted like in first person, like it was the kid.
Oh my god. He's such a poser loser. Like, this is the same guy who paid someone to like make a high level character for him in a video game and pretended like he played the video game so he could impress all
Wait,
the gamer
really?
gooners out there. Yeah. Yeah. He got busted on, I think, a stream or something. He got busted because he was playing the character and he didn't even know the basic functions of the game he was playing. Like, he had never played it before in his life, even though he tried to pass off the character like he had totally leveled it up and played the game for hours and hours. Yeah.
That's so like
Is I
why?
don't know. Why is the question I asked too? Because like, this
Bro.
guy is like a billionaire, and why does he care so much about looking cool to weird gamer bros? I don't. Yeah, I
That's
guys.
so weird.
Of course, you've heard it like I heard it, because yeah, we're
And now he's like,
we're of the nerdier persuasion, so I heard about it right away. I was like, man, what a loser.
ugh, oh my God.
It's so cringy. It's one of those like secondhand embarrassment things.
Yeah. Oh, extremely.
Yeah. Like, there's no need for you to do that. Who are you trying to impress?
And now he's like the vice president,
I
basically.
know, right? Exactly. It's like, he's already a billionaire. He's the vice president. He's he's Trump's like evil advisor, like you'd find in one of those movies where the
Yes.
king has an evil advisor that really runs the show behind the
Hmm.
scenes, right?
Hmm.
But his ego still feels the need to fake
Oh,
making a
that's
high
so
level video game character that doesn't matter.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's so bad. Oh, he's the worst. Um, I'll admit I have not really been like too keeping up on the news lately as
Me
far as
either.
America's rapid descent into insane fascism, but
I know. I live here, but I've kind of been turtling. I'll be honest with you.
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
Um,
Ladybugs, exactly. Jafar, right?
I
Jafar's the one
think
that really ran the country.
what is it, Wormtail from Lord of the
Oh
Rings?
yeah, Wormtail, that too.
Oh no, that's Harry Potter. What's the guy on freaking Lord of the Worm Tongue? Is that his name? Yeah, Worm Tongue. Sorry, from Lord of the
Wormtongue.
Rings.
Yeah. No, there was a guy in Harry Potter that did that though. I don't remember his name.
Oh boy.
He was the one that was doing the subterfuge and manipulating things behind the scenes, and yeah.
Yes. Ugh.
Yeah, Jafar did have style at least.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think of this comment, Existential Gamer? I was a rad femme, then became religious and realized we are never going to get rid of the hedonistic and nihilist society we live in without religion.
No.
Everyone is welcome here,
Yeah, but
provided that
I
you're
don't care.
respectful, but I just think it probably isn't going to be the best place for you to find like-minded ideas.
Right. I think religion is patriarchal in nature, and that's it. Like, it being spiritual or whatever, or I don't know, that's like a personal thing. But to like become religious,
Yeah.
also, just because you're not religious doesn't mean you're hedonistic or nihilistic. I think that's a very reductive, childish way of looking at morality.
Mm-hmm.
No offense, but if you need something above you to tell you not to be nihilistic or hedonistic, if you can't find meaning or beauty, and I'm a fucking existentialist, okay? Like I don't there is no inherent meaning in, like, there's no grand meaning that I'm striving for in life, but like I still try to find personal meaning because like I'm here, I'm experiencing it,
Yep.
and I'm affecting people around me. So just because my life does not have some grand purpose or uh, destination afterwards doesn't mean that nothing I do matters at all. It matters now. It may not matter in 100 years. I'm sure in 100 years I'll be forgotten, but there's people who know me now and I'm experiencing my own life. So I do try not to be nihilistic or hedonistic. Well, maybe a little bit, just a little, you know,
Yeah.
like when it comes to good food or something. But like, yeah, not to the point of self-destruction, because that just makes your existence in the here and now more miserable. And that's it. Hi, Lee.
You
I
know,
kind
Lee
of
is
feel like
here.
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's nice to see Lee. Doing the right thing because you expect a heavenly reward or to avoid punishment doesn't actually make you a good person. That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I do understand like the reasons like people want to feel like there is something after life, or that it all is for something.
Yeah,
But
that's like the spiritual distinction though. Like
yeah.
I know people like that, but like big R organized religion, I just I don't
Hmm.
know.
Okay, so she followed up by saying, I was against gender roles and the patriarchy until I realized most women still want men who provide, are stronger, taller, pays for the bills, makes the first move. Women basically want men who lead. Yeah, that's an
Okay,
extremely like religious take. That is such like, okay, that's where
uh
you're coming from, but that's not an ingrained thing, right?
no,
That's
it's
not
a
a
socialized
biological thing,
thing.
right? It's
No.
socialized and conditioned because we live in a heterosexist religious Christian
Right.
patriarchy. Like
Yeah. And as
it's
someone who actually deals with men in that way, it's not been my experience. I can tell you that. And a lot of people are like, oh, but you're an outlier. There's literally millions of women who don't give a fucking shit
yeah,
about any of that. They just want a man to treat her with respect and as a human being.
yeah.
And that's
But
it.
um like Salad Caesar says, on a low scale, religion's not a problem to me. It's when they push it on me. Like I hope that women who believe these sorts of things and feel some kind of a whatever when it comes to religion, like I really hope that your lives are good and happy and safe and productive and enjoyable and fulfilling. Like, I hope so. I just don't think that heterosexist Christian patriarchy is the best path to that. But if it's, you know,
It
like I have said a bajillion times on my channel, the kinds of views I have, the kinds of perspectives I have, my ideas about things, about the world, about patriarchy, about women, etc. Um, my channel and all of that stuff is for the women who want to hear the message and are ready to
Right.
hear the message. And if that's not you, that's fine, and you do not have to participate in this channel. But I'm not going
Right.
to like change my mind. Like, it's for the women who
No.
are ready and wanting to hear it. And if that's not you, that's fine.
Right. Going back to that comment, right? Uh, Men who provide pay for the bills. We live in a late stage capitalism world. That's not really possible for the vast majority of anybody to rely on one person to pay the bills. I don't think that's the reality for them, at least in America. The majority of women have jobs and they're not going to be holding out for some daddy warbucks paying for everything. It's just not realistic. Okay. Most uh, relationships have both people working, and a lot of women are dating down, if you want to call it that. Like the man makes less money than her. Like that's very common here. So I don't
Yeah,
buy this whole like women are like hardwired to want like daddy warbucks provider. You
right.
know, maybe back in the 1950s when women were restricted from earning the big bucks, but that's not what I see. That's not what I see in my own
Yeah, well,
relationship,
and
in my life.
women women in the West have significantly more bachelor's degrees than men do
Right.
these days. Like,
Right. They're graduating college at an exponential rate. Men are
yeah.
the ones dropping out or not going at all. As far as stronger, men are just stronger anyway. It has
Mhm.
nothing to do with whether I want men to be stronger. It's a biological fact.
Yeah.
A man could kick the tar out of me. Okay, that doesn't mean that I desire to have somebody loom over me and physically like dominate. In fact, I don't want that. That's terrible. Okay, that's scary. Taller, well, no. Okay, maybe a lot of women do, but as a tall person myself, I don't necessarily care. Uh, I'm not short, so let's just put it that way. And then the whole making the first move, that's literally the only thing I'm going to concede on because men are dangerous to women,
Yeah.
and women chasing them and also men will exploit a woman that they actually hate. If women like throw them, so this is just like my spicy opinion, okay, you don't have to agree with me, and it may not be very rad femme, but like the way society is structured now, a lot of men use women and they exploit them, and they will like have a wife they hate, they'll have a girlfriend they barely tolerate
Mhm.
because the sex is easy and she cleans the house and she
Mhm.
takes care of the kids. So I'm not going to ever do the pick me dance for any guy ever, like ever, because men statistically lower the quality of life for their wives, and they're dangerous. And the least he could do is demonstrate that he's not going to just like leech and suck the life and soul out of her and not make her like do the audition pick me dance, like, oh, I'll make such a good wife, please pick me, I'm going to chase you and ask you out and like initiate literally everything, and you can just
Mhm.
sit back and like just suck all the life out of me. Like, no. Okay. And that's my spicy opinion for the night.
Go off.
I mean, and that's just because of the way like society is structured and the way men view women
Mhm.
now these days, especially with the rise of like the red pill and like all that stuff. Like, no, I'm not. There is no way that uh, I would ever do that. And if that means that I have like one traditional value, okay, well,
You're an imperfect woman. Get out
I
now.
mean, I
Banning you immediately.
banned. I mean, I'm not really like that fussed about it in general,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely not going to be like chasing some dude. No way. Mm, ever. So,
Ooh. galaxies are getting spicy.
Yeah.
Red pill and black pill men explicitly said men are attracted to youth and beauty. So what happens when you are no longer young and beautiful? You accept his mistress?
Yeah. Are we gonna like, oh, here's the sister wife that's gonna live with us? You're not cutting it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean,
Ugh.
so like why when men view women like that, why would any woman like audition for that? Why would that even be a thought?
Yeah.
Not that I'm like a huge fan of dudes like chasing women, but the very least that any man who's sincere about like loving a woman can do
Right.
is like make her feel safe and show that he's showing up for her, you know? And not just sit back and be like, but what do you bring to the table? You know, it's just like, ugh. It's like, hey, babe, I'm gonna bring the threat of danger to your life, and I expect you to serve me. What do you got for me? Show me all your tricks.
Mhm.
Gross.
Gross. Yeah. I like just the religion thing. Like,
I mean, I've got personal beef with like this whole thing. I can't.
I don't think I really do. Like, I was raised Catholic, went to church, went to Catholic school. But like, I was like 12, 13 when I was like, this is not checking out for me. Like,
Oh, I mean, I had the same experience though.
and okay, like, this is spicy, but if I was 12 or 13 and was figuring it out, I am just like so consistently shook at adults who are like, God is definitely real. Like, ugh.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I remember getting yelled at by my grandma when I was like 11 and I quote asked too many questions and I need to
Yeah.
just be quiet and listen to what she was saying and I was like this doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
And I got mad because women were being even back then I wasn't even like I was just a baby. Like I wasn't even a feminist or anything, but I got mad at the fact that women were blamed. Like Eve, like all of our sins as women were pinned on Eve and it was her fault and that was the reason why we suffered and we had childbirth and all this and that's why you know we are the inferior one to like Adam and then by extension men, right? That's what
Yeah.
my grandmother was taught and she talked to me about it like it was the most natural thing in the world and I was outraged. I was like, why one woman takes a bite of an apple and all of a sudden we all of us women are like tainted forevermore, you know? No,
Yeah. How
I reject.
convenient for patriarchy.
Right, exactly. So I rejected that, but
Mhm.
I don't have any like I'm not an anti-theist. Like I'm not going to be online like railing against religion or
Oh, yeah.
whatever
I'm not that type either.
whatever you believe is fine, but um yeah.
Um, hold on a second.
Well, yeah, Ice Goddess Adam was tricked too and then but Eve gets all the flack for it.
I just put in the chat for this topic. You should read Who Cooked the Last Supper by Rosalind Miles and also When God Was a Woman by Merlin Stone. If you just
Right.
Google the book title with PDF, I'm sure you can find one online.
Yeah. I still have to read Who Cooked the Last Supper.
Oh, it's so good.
I know you've recommended it so many times and you've endorsed it and I'm excited to read it
I
one
will
of these
never
days.
stop recommending that book. And it's an easy, good, like entry level read. It's
Yeah, not super academic.
not at all. It's like very easily digestible and it's so good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I know. I gotta stop being lazy and actually read a book and stop reading the internet instead.
I do a lot of reading the internet, but I did
That's,
recently finish When God Was a Woman. That was my newest read.
mm,
Oh, also, hold on. Oops. I heard that some Andrea Dworkin books are being put into reprint.
Oh, I heard that a little while back. Has
Um,
it come to pass?
yeah, I think today, actually.
Today, like literally
Yes,
this day. Huh.
yes,
Okay.
today is what I have heard. Um, I'm probably going to buy all of them
Ooh.
if I can find out where. But yeah, I did hear that, I think, because I put it in my. Oh, hell yeah. They are indeed.
Oh.
Andrea Dworkin reprints.
Macmillan, huh? All right.
I don't know anything about that. Do you?
It's a publishing company, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Paperback. How do I
Hmm.
buy this? Oh, buy this book from Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million,
Oh,
All
okay.
American shit.
All American shit. Well, you have
Not
Amazon, right?
American. Yeah, but
Oh,
we have Amazon Canada. Anyway, I'm gonna
oh.
buy all of them. So
Yeah, where's the box set? Where's the Dworkin box set?
yeah, for real. Yeah, so in reprint today is Woman Hating, Pornography, and Right Wing Women.
Ooh. Yeah.
Add to cart, add to cart. I'm gonna buy them all literally right now.
Yay.
If well, in theory, because it's only on Amazon US. So I don't know if it'll let me in Canada. Well, maybe it
Hmm.
will.
Oh, that's
Maybe.
good.
Oh, I'm
Sal
so excited.
Salad Caesar, I'm glad you had that experience with non-religious friends.
Yeah.
Not to sound like a giant dork, but like being a good person just feels good, you know? Not making other people feel like shit, trying to do the right thing. Not everybody does the right thing, but like, you know, it gives you a better life and it gives everybody around you a better life.
Yep.
Not that you have to be some paragon of flawless virtue, but like it's just not true that if you didn't have a god dictating to you that you would just love being evil and just revel in being evil.
Yeah.
That's not, I don't think, and this is how I'm not a nihilist, like I just don't think that that's the default human race like way to be, because I don't think that we would have gotten as far as we did if we weren't more on the side of being communal and actually doing good and feeling good about that for other people most of the time, not all the time, obviously. I mean, we have serial killers and shit and abusers and all that stuff, but like on like grand scale, most people I don't think are interested in just being cruel and bad to people for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just an optimist though.
Yeah. I just bought all three Dworkin books right now.
Nice. All
Yeah,
right.
they're ones that I've been wanting. Like I have a couple of hers, but not these ones. And every time I've looked for them in like thrift stores or like thrift books, they're always like there's like one copy for like $95 because
Yeah,
there's, one. But
right.
oh, they're in reprint today, so I just bought them all.
Nice.
Excited. Oh, I can do maybe book club or make videos about what I'm reading. How exciting.
You could do book club.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, fax machine, that's my viewpoint too. Definitely. Like life is sacred to me because it's short and I don't think that I'm going to like heaven or whatever. To me it's sad when people discount their entire life here, you know, for the hope of just being in heaven. They're like nothing here matters, it's worldly, you
Mm,
know, eschew everything here. All joy and happiness here is meaningless because you just got to devote yourself to God and then he will reward you in the afterlife. And in the meantime, you've like squandered a lot of your and shut people out because they don't believe what you believe. And like, I, I don't know. I just,
Yeah, it's not working for me.
no, not me either.
Yeah,
Life, man. Philosophy.
indeed.
Deep, deep shit.
Yep. Uh, I have been buying books, so I haven't been reading the chat.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just talking about like religion and life philosophies and
Yeah. Ooh, the Bible is a document produced by particular people in a particular historical context. It's interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
it's. I've read I haven't read the whole Bible, but I've read a lot of it, and yeah,
right.
it's. I have nothing against people reading the Bible. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And let's be clear, by people we mean like powerful men.
mhm.
That's who wrote the Bible throughout the ages. Oh yeah, Grey Witch. That's actually a really good point.
Yes, I thought that was good too.
Yeah, it's funny because for all that, like straight women want the the chest beaten caveman who's like strong and tall and provides and is the leader and dominates her. Like, look at any real female fandom and all the bishonen and like K-pop stars that they
Yeah.
love and like the weird, like they're what was it, like the rat boy Tumblr were like unconventionally or like ugly
Oh
dudes like
yeah.
have this weird following among women, like they're not conventionally attractive at all. uh we're not, yeah, it's not all just about like big strapping masculine muscle men.
I bet those men knew what a woman is.
Right. Yeah, they did.
Oh yeah, Fax Machine said recommend the History of the Bible podcast. I listened
Mm.
to this one called Biblical Time Machine, which is they have a guest on who's like a professor or an expert in some biblical topic always, and it's just really interesting to me as like a historical thing. Like they did an episode on like what would a day-to-day life be for like Mary when Jesus was a toddler or whatever. Like it's just interesting in that regard. I don't.
That's the kind of shit that I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Like what was her what was Jesus's day-to-day life?
Yeah, what
Like,
was the 3-year-old Jesus like toddling around?
right.
Like,
What did he do?
right?
The Bible's so like snapshot of his life.
He was
Like,
born and then he was 30.
right. Already, Jesus going
Uh-huh.
around preaching to people.
Yeah,
But like
Mr.
what
Christ.
Mr. Christ. I'm sorry, Mr. Christ is my father. Please call me Jesus. But yeah,
Yes.
like what was he like as like an 18-year-old dumbass? That's what I want to know.
Well, Jesus was like an anarchist, socialist, mishmash, rebel, anti-fascist, anti-establishment.
Yeah. But what was he
Cool
like
dude.
though? Like what would it be like to just hang out with 12-year-old Jesus or like 19-year-old Jesus or 25-year-old? Like that's the kind of stuff I like in history, like the day-to-day lives of people. No,
Yep.
Mr. Christ did not use Mux because prior to like fucking 10 years ago, everybody knew what a woman was.
I
So
die that like pretty much every single time Lee is here at a stream, she brings up Mux.
I
Like
know.
every single time. It makes me
It's
laugh. It's like a running theme of Lee
it
attending
is.
streams.
I Mux always makes me laugh just because of the
Me
way it
too.
sounds. I like to say it. It's very fun to say.
I feel
Mux.
like if it were mix, like I would eye roll, but it sounds fine. Like mix Christ, you know,
Mix Christ. No,
mix Smith,
it sounds like he
Mux.
started. It sounds like Jesus started like a SoundCloud channel and called it Mixed
Right.
Price.
So MX salad Caesar, it's pronounced mux, and it's the gender neutral of Miss, Mrs., or Mister.
Right.
So like there's a lot of like non-binary, queer, purple-haired teachers who make their students call them Mux Johnson,
Mm.
you know.
Latins.
Latinx.
Latinx. Latiddlywinks.
Latinx.
It's dumb is what it is. Yeah, fax machine.
It extremely is. Oh man. I think teachers, okay, like this is teachers making their students participate in their gender fantasies is fucking weird to me. Like,
yeah, I have to agree with you.
when I was in junior high, high school in the early 2000s, like I didn't know shit about my teachers' lives or
Right.
anything at all. And like,
Right. Yeah, I remember in 5th grade, one of my teachers got married, and we only knew because her name changed, of
yeah,
course. But the fact, like, knowing about teachers like spouses or proclivities or anything like that was something that just wasn't done. And
no,
if she hadn't gotten married and that, we didn't have to refer to her as a different name, like we would never have known. Like, it just wasn't something that teachers ever talked about.
yeah,
We didn't hear about anybody's wife, nobody's husband, nobody's
right.
boyfriend, girlfriend, who they like to hang out with at the bar. We didn't know teachers went to the grocery store. Like, we
Exactly.
didn't know any of that stuff.
Even
We didn't.
I remember learning my teachers had a first name.
Yeah.
You know, like my grade 1 teacher, when I learned that her name was Louise, I was like, I'm sorry,
Louise.
what?
Oh,
No, she's Miss so and so.
right.
Like, what the hell? And then yeah, she
Right.
actually did get married, and nobody could like adjust, and everyone that had been taught by her prior to her marriage just kept calling her her maiden name.
Yeah.
And then everyone who was new would call her her married name. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you saw a teacher in the wild, earth shattering. Yes.
I know, right? It was like your whole little world was shook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
by the time you get to middle and high school, like, they've got first names and lives, but you don't have any interest in knowing about the
Right.
details.
And so when
Like,
like these like
no.
NB teachers are like making students call them they, them, and mucks, it's like these kids
Yeah.
are here to get an education about fucking 1812 war or whatever the fuck. Like, stop pushing your gender shit on them. It's so weird.
Yeah. And then, like, I'm just picturing, because these are the kind of teachers that are going to take a day and sit on their desk and be like, ask me any questions you want about gender.
Yeah,
I'll tell you all about my gender.
Inappropriate as all hell.
Yeah, it's very breaching the boundaries that should exist between, like, they don't need to know about such a personal thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So weird. So weird.
Yep. I agree. I don't want to talk with anyone about their gender or why they don't feel like whatever sex they are. I have no interest in that, teacher or no.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, I can't relate. I'm female because that's what my body is, and I can't relate to like not feeling like. Oh my God! Speaking of that, I'm gonna shout out Rusty because I have been catching up on her comic.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
And
yeah, the conversations that she writes with those types of people are just so on point. I love it.
yeah, she's so good. Like she nails it.
She does. I have yet to like get up to the current day. I let it pile up for a while.
Yeah.
I like to binge comics. So
Mm-hmm.
I was reading her comic a while back and I'd gotten to like the current update, right? But then I let it go for a bit to let it build up. So now I'm like working my way back up through it. And I had to backtrack a little bit just to get,
Yep.
I want to make sure I have the story right. But yeah, just like the whole gendies, like the fact that they scold people for judging on looks, but then that's what they do. You know, if somebody has short hair and wears like a man's t-shirt, they're like, I think they might be closeted trans or non-binary. But then like if you make any, if you have any questions or you say something like that, they're like, oh, how dare you? You can't just tell somebody, by the way they dress. Like, what do you want from me? Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Just terminally navel gazing people.
Mm-hmm. We gotta have Rusty on the stream again soon.
I know. She's so funny. You
I
guys should
know.
She's so fucking funny.
I don't.
Um,
Sometimes, yeah, I am just not naturally like quick and witty and funny like that, and she
I'm not
kills me
either.
all the time.
Yeah, she does. Like the things she comes up with, like to say on the fly, is
I
just it's
know.
so fucking like, how does she do that?
I don't know.
I'm the type of person that I'll think of something
I'm
like
gonna
that in
text
in
her.
the shower, like hours later. I'll be like, oh man, I should have said that very witty thing.
Yep. I know. Good
I'm
times.
glad you got out of the cult, Drew.
Yes. Very good for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, probably maybe I'll bully her into streaming with me
Gently bully her into streaming with you.
later this week.
Yeah.
Oh, I just texted her and I said, we're talking about loving you on stream right now. And she said, that's so sweet. Hi, ladies. I give everyone a kiss on the forehead.
Aw.
Okay, this is interesting. Let's see here. Please talk about being neurodivergent and the trans community next time. Maybe.
I
If
don't
you
feel like
have
I'm,
any like good
yeah,
sources or articles or
right.
something to talk about, I would be happy to. But off the top of my head, I don't know that I'm the person for that because I
Right.
am neither of the two things.
Exactly. I was just thinking that like I don't feel like confident that I know enough about that. I know that there's a connection between like autism
Yeah.
and being diagnosed trans, but I don't have like the knowledge of, I would need like an article or a source or something.
Yeah.
Um
To like, yeah, digest
right.
and take in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, understandable, Drew. It's been an interesting experience. I still struggle with some of the ideology. So I struggle to see myself as a woman, even though biologically I am. If you're
Yeah.
okay, like you could expand on that, like
Yeah.
just knowing, like I kind of like would akin this to like I'm. It's the same as like struggling to see yourself as brunette if your hair is brown,
Mm,
like
right.
like you are a woman. And I don't say that to be mean or snarky, but
Right.
like I just, if you
It
are
it just
something, why is
is.
it a struggle to see yourself as that thing? It
But
doesn't
I
mean
also,
anything about you.
though, I also get where Drew's coming from, because I think a lot of conflation happens between female socialization, expectations, and simply the reality of being female.
Right.
Like, I remember years and years ago, before any of this trans stuff ever was even a thing. Like, I'm 45, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, I would joke to my mother whenever I had to get dressed up to the nines for something formal. I would say to her, "Yeah, I'm getting in drag tonight and going out." Because that's how ridiculous it felt for me to gussy and doll
Yeah.
myself up like that. And I'm not even like very masculine really. I'm just
Mm.
kind of middle of the, like, I don't really try, like I don't wear makeup or anything. But back then I used to wear it here and there. Uh, I don't have any problem wearing dresses as long as they're not uncomfortable or itchy or whatever,
Yeah.
and that they cover my body. But like, I've never been like, ew, feminine stuff, but that still felt like I was putting on a performance. Like I was catering to the societal expectations. Oh, and I would also joke to her too, like, oh, I'm going to be socially acceptable tonight. I'm going to do my hair and put makeup on and look pretty. Because most of the time I'm just very lazy. I don't want to do it. And obviously nowadays I'm opposed to doing it for,
Mhm.
ideological reasons. But uh, yeah, so I get that. Like I get like when you bump up against society's ideas of what you should be feeling or whatever, but all of that is garbage. It's all fake. It's an illusion. I am a woman simply because that's what I
Simply
am.
because, yeah, I am.
Right. I am one. Whatever form that takes for me, however I talk, however I present myself, it doesn't change that ever. Whatever thoughts I have, like what I think about the world, how I interact, like there's some things that change when you are female with how you interact with the world, but for the most part, I'm just like a human, a regular person. I don't really think about the fact that I'm a woman. I don't walk into like the store and like, oh, how am I womaning correctly? Like I'm, like,
Resting boobily.
am I breasting boobily down the stairs enough? No. I mean,
Yeah.
most of like 90% of my life, I don't even think about it ever. Like, okay, when I get my period, I guess I have to think about that. But
Yeah.
like that, I
Womaning
don't,
extra hard.
yeah, but it's not like I'm sitting there like really introspecting about being female. It's more
Yeah.
like it's like taking a shit. You just have to like wipe it, clean yourself up and go, flush the toilet. Like, okay, this is just another biological process of my female. Like, I just got to put a
Yeah.
tampon in. Like, I'm not going to sit there and like wax poetic about like being a woman. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it just is. You don't have
Yeah.
to think about it. And if you feel like your personality doesn't conform to what everybody thinks a woman should be, then fuck them. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, and not. I just want to point out. Also, Drew said it's because I quote lived as a man for
Mm,
10 years, was on testosterone. I look like one, yada yada. But I said in the chat like it doesn't make you not a woman, and women come in all kinds of shapes and sizes and looks and presentations. And there's women who did not take testosterone who have facial hair or beards or whatever.
yeah.
Like, um, and also your biological sex, like your femaleness, your womanness, it doesn't have to say anything about you or who you are or what you like or what you're interested in or what you
Mm,
want to do or who you
mhm.
want to be. Like, it, you can present yourself in any way you want and you're still a woman, and it's like a non-factor.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can kind of see like the uh, it can be discomforting, I imagine, if you're
Mhm.
on T for 6 years and you look in the mirror and what you see doesn't seem to match. But that's because of the effects of the drugs. Like
Yeah.
it's not, it doesn't mean anything about what you actually are. It's
Hmm.
like it's a side effect of a drug, right?
Yeah.
So if you have like facial hair or something, it can be tough, but like it doesn't mean you're not female. I
Yeah. This is, yeah, and Drew says the trans community cult conditions you to think about
Oh
gender all the time.
yeah. Yep.
Yes, and we talk about the cult all the time here, but um yeah, you've been conditioned certainly to think about your gender or yourself or navel gazing all the time. So
Mhm.
trying to find like ways to put that energy into something else is probably going to be very helpful, like
Yep.
hobby, volunteering, your
Any
education,
anything
therapy.
outside yourself.
Yeah.
The less time you spend in your own noggin introspecting everything about yourself, the better. Try to as a formerly terminal navel gazer, this is my advice.
Hmm.
Oh my God.
What?
I heard your alarm go off.
Oh, that's my take your medication alarm. My
Oh.
migraine pill.
Oh, that's very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't particularly think my face is extremely feminine. I mean, I don't have a beard or, you know, I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah. Oh, well, 2 hours exactly.
Yeah.
Probably wrap up, I think. It's late for you.
10 o'clock. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, okay, so let's wrap up. So thank you everyone for joining us this evening and going with the
Yeah.
flow as we went to 2 topics instead of just the one. Um, yes, Lee, I promoted you to moderator. um,
Oh, yeah. Congrats on the promotion, Lee.
um, yeah, okay, so next stream, maybe Friday or Saturday, depending on what Rusty's up to. I'm sure she'll agree to stream with me. So
Yeah.
maybe Friday or Saturday. New video coming out on my channel tomorrow morning.
Ooh.
Yeah, and my life is getting somewhat back to normal, so my twice a week stream schedule should be back to typical. And I also liked putting up a poll for what topic we should discuss because I think it's kind of nice instead of just like picking something to like involve the community.
Yeah.
So I'll probably do that. Um, I'll do the cringe YouTuber thing and ask if you would like the stream. And and when it's over, you could refresh the stream and then leave a little comment. That would be nice. And then also you can subscribe to Existential Gamer because I'll put her channel in the description.
Thank you.
And always. And yeah,
I do not update regularly, FYI.
that's okay. You have good videos on your channel that people could check out.
I do.
So you could do that. Okay, so that's that. Like Spike, thank you, Lee. Thanks, everybody. Sorry to kind of cut this off, Drew, when you're new to the channel, I think, and just kind of popped in, but we'd be happy to have you back anytime to chat about what you're going through.
Yeah.
So yeah, this community, this channel, all of the women who participate here are so nice and welcoming. So it's a safe space for all of that stuff.
Yeah. We promise no cult tactics here.
No. Oh, yes. And let's all read or reread Working Together because it's in reprint.
Yay.
All right. Have a great evening, everyone. See you later this week, probably. And bye.
Bye.
Bye.